Hey guys, good morning everybody. Today is Wednesday, August 21st. It is 6:24 right now. Market's going to open in about 6 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this room real quick and we'll get started shortly with our analysis for today. Just got a few things here to update and we should be good to go. All right, Zoom link is going out. All right, as people join in, let's start market liquidity over here. Not gonna go super far out. It's kind of pointless. That's 1 hour. And the volatility is really, really low. As you guys can see, like this pre-market range is like, it's not really going anywhere. It's kind of crazy how slow it is. But this is normal for summer. It's just crazy because typically, like for the past couple of weeks, it's not been this low. But normally during the summer, this is like, normal conditions. Um, And we are good to go. All right, so I've got liquidity marked up right here. Closest level of liquidity above is at 41,025. Closest level below is at 40,998. Um, so looking at the 100-point move for today, I'm going to be looking for, let's see. My analysis from last night was for a possible bullish move. Looking over here at, let's see, retail sentiment. Yeah, definitely going to look for a buy today. Got my Ninja Trader set up. All right, looks like we are good to go. All right, guys, market's going to open up in about 3 minutes. So for my 100-point move that I typically look for here on the open, I'll be looking for a possible buy, which is the longer hold. So Marcus, I don't trade indices anymore. We haven't traded indices like all year because indices aren't allowed here in the US. I trade futures now, which is the same thing, but you're trading the actual asset. So for my broker, I'm using Ninja Trader, and for my funding company, I'm using Apex. So check out the Discord, go down to the video info below, check out the Discord, and then go to the FAQs. I'll have the links for everything there. I'm using Ninja Trader for my personal account, and then I'm also using Ninja Trader on my funded company with Apex. So we trade futures now. We haven't traded indices since like last year because FTMO picked up all the US clients off because US doesn't allow for CFD trading. So indices were never really allowed in the US, but people still traded them. But now they're like for sure not allowed. So I'd be careful with any indices broker. Typically, it's don't want to say it's a scam, but most of the time it's a pretty scammy broker if you're trading with an indices broker because it's on a made up market. All right, guys.
Order filled.
Wait a minute. This isn't looking right. I put my risk proper, but for some reason, oh, I did it wrong. Okay, that makes sense. All right, so I got a little too early on this here for, I'm just gonna have to make some adjustments here for that move. So the move's gonna be down here. Market is now open, guys. Let that trade run. Liquidity right here got hit. So if you guys take any of the buys right here, liquidity pretty much got hit right immediately on open. So the first three levels of liquidity right there, full TPs. Here's opening price. This thing's pushing up higher. Almost at my full TP over here on the 100-point move. All right, so I think this will continue to climb higher. Let's see. There's no market flow entries here yet. So let's see if this retraces back down and comes back up. So basically the first three levels over here of liquidity got hit. This one got hit pre-market. The first level at 41.26. This one at 41.33 got hit on open. And the next one right here as well at 41.39 got hit as well. There's no entries here available, not yet. I'll be looking for price to retrace back down at some point and climb back up. It's a big push to the upside right there. Price was pushing up to the sessions right there. We have a sessions down below right here. Also a sessions up there, of course. So it's going to be tough to take some entries right here specifically. I mean, if price comes down slightly right here, bounces off the pivot, comes right back up, we could have a possibility of a market flow entry right there. But at current market conditions, that's going to be a little tricky. Volatility here is starting to slow down a little bit. But again, if we get that retracement, that's what I'm looking for. Retracement, swing up, continuation. I just need to make sure that our TP is before the sessions up here, because if it has to go and touch the sessions, I'm not going to mess with it. So I'll keep looking over here for a market flow entry. There goes, price comes back to open. I'm not going to take a market flow entry here if it comes up. So if it swings back up right here, this is technically a market flow setup, but I'm not going to take it, of course, because it's touching two sessions right here. So opening price is lined up exactly with the Asia high, and then we have the New York high right here. So I mean, it's just in a tricky area right now where it's currently sitting. There goes, price bounces off here. I do think price will be bullish long term, like for the rest of the session. I think price will be bullish. It's just we're getting a lot of this back and forth movement right now. Again, not taking any trades down here because we have the sessions. These are all red flags, as you guys know. Just gonna wait for market here to stabilize a little bit. We're having a bit of some crazy volatility here right now in open. So it looks like the range is going to be at can't really see the range too well here, but no, I'm not going to draw the range yet. Not until we have some sort of confirmation of like where price is currently at, because the range looks like it's at 41,000 and at 41,100. But I mean, the price movement here isn't very strong. So let me just put this over here. I'll put the bottom range at the 41,000 mark. And then obviously, like I said, it's probably going to be, this is where I was expecting the range to go from. Because if I put the price down here at the 50, I mean, technically I could, so I'll leave it at there for now. This is the current range until price pushes back up higher. But the real range, I believe, is going to be up here once price actually pushes up higher. But right now, price is kind of just sitting down this area. So this is typically what I do on the open. I'll mark up the range, and then you guys can kind of see where price goes. I think this range is a little too tight. Price looks like it did fake out up here and pull back into the range. So technically, I guess this is the real range right now until price actually breaks out of this area and climbs up higher. When it does, the range is going to be pushed up higher to the 100 mark. But as of now, it's at the 41.50, and then it'll be at the 41. So this is a clean chart. I'm just going to leave this clean as possible so that you guys can see the actual range. And I'll go back over here to our main chart. And again, there's still no entries here for me to take right now because price is currently at the sessions. So it's right here at the sessions. Again, I need price to push away from this area and climb up higher. When it climbs up, I need this entry to happen in between here. Don't really want it to push up too high. So this is not a good area right here, guys. Reminder, not a good area right here to be trading in. This is all considered red flag area. And we'll just wait here to see what happens next. Retail sentiment is currently 77% short. This indicates that 77% of retail traders are currently selling right now. So typically, I would be looking to take some buys here, not like random buys, but I'll be looking for some buys when we have that opportunity. So if an opportunity comes up for a buy, I'll more likely be looking to take that because I typically do want to trade against retail. So again, a couple of things to look for here. You can look for V1 variations, CV patterns, high-level momentum scalps, pivot scalps, momentum scalps, etc. There's a lot of different strategies that you can apply. But for me personally, I'm looking for the for the market flow entries. So I'm looking for price to push up, retrace, continue up higher. I'm just looking for some sort of direction and some sort of confirmation. Until I get that confirmation, I'm not really going to force any trades here. I'm going to look for some stuff that I'm basically going to look for quality entries. I'm not looking for random entries. I'm not here really to force anything. I'm just here to take stuff that I think is likely to push in that direction, which is bullish. So we might get some back and forth whipsaw movement here. And then eventually when price does find its direction, I think it's going to be bullish. Which, I mean, it could happen from now until 7 o'clock. We have some high impact news coming up at 7 o'clock here. So looking at the calendar, we have non-farm payroll annual revision at 7 o'clock. We had some low impact news over here at 4 o'clock. I'll mark that up for you guys, but it's going to be pretty much pointless because it's so low impact that's not really going to affect market at all here. There we go. Yeah, not really much going on here again. Price is just bouncing back and forth. It's the same situation as yesterday. So going back to our clean chart, as you can see right here, I drew this range here immediately on open. This is going to be our baseline. So basically, you're looking for price to break below, continue climbing lower. If you're going to look for some sells, or you're going to look for price to break above and continue climbing up higher before you start looking for some buys. The thing that you want to be careful for is the possible fake outs, right? Like this right here. Price can easily push up slightly, fake out right back into the range. Same thing can happen to the bottom. Price can push down slightly, fake out, pull back into the range. So you want to make sure that you confirm that price is actually dropping and continuing to drop, not some small move here, fake out, and then come back up, right? You don't want that. So let's see what happens here. Price just hit liquidity down below. Again, you want to be careful for the possible fake out. This will probably swing right back into the range. So if you guys took those levels of liquidity right there, looks like you've already hit your TP, looks like. If you went for the 1030, the traditional 1030. We'll keep watching here. Again, like I said, look out for the fake out. My first guess is fake out. Whenever price breaks out of the range here, I don't typically instantly look for an entry in that direction unless like your entry happens up here. So if your entry happens somewhere within the range and it pushes down, then okay, you can get like maybe a decent push. But whenever price is like within this area right here, I'm still looking for that fake out. So there's a possible CV pattern here that's setting up right now, as you guys can see. If this candle closes green, this is a CV pattern. It's a reversal pattern, and it's likely to push back to the upside because our bias for today is bullish, of course. So this is a possible CV pattern right here. I'm not going to take it, but I'll mark it up for you guys right here. Take that back. So the candle did not close green. There's no CV pattern there. You guys can see how tricky it is in this area. I know some of you guys like to call Wednesdays wacky Wednesdays, kind of similar to Trap Tuesday. And yeah, it's the same gist. Basically the same gist of it. So price again is below the lower range. Again, guys, just be careful for the fake out. You want to look out for that fake out first before you start looking for any actual entries. I mean, this is possibly a break and retest pattern. So like I said, this is the pattern that you want to see price come down. However, my first guess is that this is going to be a fake out because that's what's been happening all week, right? What you have to do is kind of you got to figure out what happens on Monday and Tuesday and then use that to your advantage. Like if market was ranging on Monday, Tuesday, which it was this week, price is probably going to range the rest of the week. If price was faking out Monday, Tuesday, then you can expect, the rest of the week to be fake outs as well. We had a bunch of fake outs on Monday. Yesterday, we had a bunch of fake outs as well. Thankfully, yesterday was a good day for us trading, even though we had those fake outs. But again, pay attention to this area right here. Again, for a clean chart, I'll try to keep this as clean as possible. You guys can see the range here. It's pretty clear. So what you want to look for is possible fake out like happened up here, possible fake out right here, and look for it to maybe pull back into the range. So what you're looking for is like a V1 variation pattern or a CV pattern. If you can see a V1 variation pattern, then that's going to be a possible reversal back into the range. Otherwise, look for the continuation. There's two things that can happen here. So you just want to keep that in mind. There's two things that can happen here. There's really no weight into which direction it'll go. So this can still fake out even though it's down here, or it can continue climbing. So there's two things that'll happen. Your price will come down, fake out, come back into the range. Or second case scenario is price continues to climb down. It's already break and retested right here, and it can possibly continue climbing down lower. It's currently at the Asia low right here. So this is liquidity, but it's also lined up with the Asia low. You guys can see the purple line right there. And that purple line can mean a lot of things, right? It's an area of manipulation. So I think this would be like probably the last stand. If it doesn't actually reverse anywhere within this middle area right here, then I think it will possibly continue dropping. So what you want to look for here is possible break and retest off the session. So break and close, retest, continuation. If you guys see that break and retest, then it's probably going to continue dropping further. If you don't see the break and retest, then you can expect the possible fake out back to the upside. So just something to keep in mind, guys. Okay, so right here, if this candle closes green, it's going to be a possible CV pattern. And this CV pattern could be the reversal back to the upside. You're just waiting for that confirmation. So this candle has a long time on it. It's got 43 seconds, so it's got a lot of time before it really confirms whether it's going to be a CV pattern or not. My guess is that this is going to be a CV pattern, and it's going to correct back up. So I'm going to clean up this liquidity right here. Basically, if you took any of the liquidity entries for this week or for today, they all pretty much hit. Earlier this morning, if you guys were following, we had about 3 or 4 levels of liquidity above. They all hit full TP. And then right here, we have 2 more that hit full TP right here. So if you took any of these sells, they all hit full TP. So full TP right there, full TP right there. It was a little choppy, but it was still a full TP nonetheless. All right, so there goes your CV pattern right there. Be careful for the reversal back to the upside. Oh, never mind. I take that back. Sorry, there's no CV pattern here, guys. This green candle was actually lower, so there's no CV. In order for it to be a CV pattern, this red candle would have to be the low, and this would have to show up as is, but not push any lower. So technically, this right here is not a CV pattern, but it lines up as one. And you can see here, I wouldn't be surprised if price ends up pushing right back up into the range. There we go. As price pushes up higher. Yep. There goes that correction back up that I just called for. So fake out happened right here. And I wouldn't be surprised if this pulls right back into the range. It's the same thing that happened yesterday, guys. So this is why I say to be careful for these fake outs, because a lot of times people try to chase these fake outs and they end up getting caught on the wrong side of the market. So, yep, pretty much doing what I expected. You can see right there, it's pulling right back into this upper level. That would have been a nice CV if it was. I mean, it looked just like a CV. I would have easily thought that'd be a CV. So if you look over here above, guys, there's actually a V1 variation pattern. So like I said earlier, if you want to trade in these sideways markets, you can trade. There's no problem with trading these markets. You just have to know which strategies to apply, right? So I said previously, look at the V1 variations. There's a double body rejection right there off that high. That was a V1 variation pattern. It came straight down. Again, right here, this is similar to a CV pattern, not a clean one, but it's similar to a CV pattern. And this over here pushed right back up. So you guys can see, if you guys want to trade the tops and bottoms, just look for the V1 variation or the CV patterns. I'll typically call them out. I'll tell you, hey, this is probably what's happening right here. And you can possibly ride that back into the range. You know, you don't have to take it, but I'll give you guys a heads up if you guys want to take those types of trades. You know, at some point, if the market continues to go sideways like this, it might be something that I may need to start taking, but as of right now, it's not really a necessity for me. So let me clean this up a little bit. It's not a necessity because I have my own trading plan and I don't really need to force any trades here, right? If I don't see any good entries, I'm not going to force anything. This goes back to what I was saying yesterday, right? Like if you have a trading plan and you have a specific strategy that you're following, just because it's not working right now doesn't give you a reason to actually stop using it. Because the market's only been ranging for like the past week or two. And, you know, we can go back into a directional market any day now. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. There's a possible CV pattern right here setting up for a sell. I'm going to hold off on it, though. There's a possible CV right here for a sell. Price comes back down. The reason why I'm going to hold off on it is because it has to cut into the sessions right here. Like I said, I don't want to trade anywhere where the sessions are at. So this is a red flag right here. I'll mark it up for you guys if it comes back down. So it's now filled. It looks like the market flow entry is now currently running. Price came up, bounced off the pivot. It's now coming down. This is where I would have been kind of worried a little bit because when it comes down to the sessions, this is where manipulation tends to happen, right? So you see right there how it bounces directly off the purple line. That's why I didn't want to get caught in. I already knew that was going to happen because this always happens. It's the whole reason why I created this indicator. So see how this could have been a perfect entry if this wasn't there, but because it's there, see how price is not having any luck getting past it. I wouldn't be surprised if this hits TP. This will probably hit TP and then it'll probably swing back up. But I didn't want to take that chance, right? So I'm sticking to my game plan. You know, whenever you guys trade, you guys have to have a game plan. Every day you have to have a game plan. You can't just think on your feet. Because when you think on your feet, that's when you typically make mistakes. My game plan was to take market flow entries and avoid red flags. That's pretty much it. Keep it as simple as possible. So you guys see how it's getting manipulated right here? Clear example of why I don't trade at the sessions. You guys can trade at the sessions. It's up to you, whatever you guys want to do. But, you know, I've traded long enough to understand this is typically where I get burned. Sometimes I get lucky here. Sometimes I don't. Most of the time I don't. So That's why I created this whole indicator so that I know exactly where not to trade. So I'm going to clean this up. I don't want you guys to think that I'm in the position. Perfect example right there for red flags. And this is how you get better at trading, guys. Like before, like in the past, I didn't have this indicator, right? I didn't create this indicator until maybe 4 years back. 4 years ago, I would take trades and I would lose trades sometimes. And I was wondering like, why do I lose these trades, right? Once I figured out how to create the sessions, I was like, okay, this is smart because now I know how to avoid trades. That's when my win rate went up. Because before I had probably like a 60% win rate, and then I just documented all my trades and I journaled everything. And I try to figure out, how can I avoid these losses? And lo and behold, I figured out that I needed to draw the session high lows. And now that I have this indicator, I know exactly where to avoid trades. So, yep, that's pretty much how it is, how it works. All right, so I'm looking for this reversal back to the upside. Still hasn't happened yet, but looking for this reversal back to the upside. There's not really going to be any sells here for us to take unless price breaks and closes below the sessions. Like I need price to be below here and continue climbing lower because I'm not taking any trades around this area. Or if I'm looking for a buy, I need price to push up higher. Climb up higher from here, of course. All right, so we're getting some consolidation here. We're getting closer to the news at 7 o'clock. Again, we have high impact news right here at 7 o'clock, non-farm payrolls, annual revision. We also have FOMC minutes later today. So like I said yesterday, guys, I was expecting today to be a slow day. Typically, when you have a big news event like FOMC minutes, the market is typically low. The volatility in the market is pretty low because a lot of people are just waiting for the news to come out. As you guys know, the interest rates are going to be reduced in September next month. So those FOMC minutes are very, very important because they're going to be talking about how much they're going to be reducing it. So a lot of people are going to sit out and wait, which is, I mean, that's pretty much normal for a heavy news day like today. Not a heavy news day as in like a bunch of news events, but just a heavy news event when the FOMC minutes come out over here at 11. Because they're going to release the percentages, and I think it's going to be a 0.25. I mean, it's going to be between, I don't think it's going to be anything higher than that, but yeah, they do have to reduce and lower the interest rates, or else we're going to go into a full-on recession. I mean, if we're not already in one already, but we'll see. Let me check my question real quick. See, Ford cancels plans for electric SUV. TJ Maxx stocks. Investors brace for jobs wipeouts. Economists forecast a revision of payroll data could undercut robust picture of labor market. So a lot of these news events happened pre-market. This probably could have caused the drop earlier. This is why I like using this news platform more than my FX book is fine when looking at news, and CNBC is fine too, but I feel like CNBC is so manipulated that the news on here isn't necessarily the best. So I use different platforms now for news just to see what's like the breaking news for the day, especially if we see some movement in the market. Okay, so we have the correction right here back up. Let's go back to our range that I drew earlier. So guys, earlier I drew this range. Let's see if price pulls back into the range. If it doesn't pull back into the range and it stays below, then I'll adjust the range. But right now, I'm gonna leave it as is. I don't think there's any reason for us to move it right now. So looking at our clean chart, it's actually a little easier to see here now. So you guys can see it's a bit of a break and retest of the range. So one of two things are going to happen here. So one thing that you want to focus on is where price is currently at right now, because we have a break and retest pattern. What you want to look for here is to identify whether price is going to climb down lower or if this here is just a fake out. So price drop from this upper area. You can look for the possible fake out here and a swing back up. It's like a W pattern. Right? Those are like the basic patterns to look for. W patterns or M patterns. See how there's a possible M right here? So there's two things to look for here. It's either a W pattern for the reversal back into the range or the M pattern or a continuation to the downside. My guess is the W pattern. I think this is what's going to play through. Ideally, I think this is what's going to happen. It's going to pull back into the range. The reason why I think that is because this is what's been happening pretty much every day this week, right? The range has been consistent. So if the range has been consistent Monday, Tuesday, what do you think is going to happen on Wednesday? Range is going to be consistent. And you can see right here, it's pulling right back into the range. Ideally, I'd prefer to take buys anyway, so it's not a big deal to me. I actually want price to push up. So we got price pushing up right here. It's going right into the range. So like I said earlier, guys, if you guys want to catch these tops and bottoms, just look for the V1 variations or look for the CV patterns. They're everywhere. So the trade from earlier this morning, the 100-point move, it's still running right now, as you guys can see. Can't really see the full move here. Leave it on the 1 hour. It's going to take forever for it to hit. So I'll leave it right here on the 1 hour chart. This is from my fundamental analysis from last night. I identified that price was going to be bullish. I looked at retail sentiment. I looked at the fundamental news. I looked at the technicals. Everything here kind of pointed towards a buy. So that's why I identified this as a possible bullish move for YM. The only problem is that the volatility is so low that there's just not much going on here, right? Price is climbing back up as we discussed. I mean, technically, there's not really many entries here. I don't see any entries here with regard to the strategy. So there's nothing here really to work with. Price is just sitting down the middle now, right where the sessions are at. This is basically like the red flag area. So now that price is in between the range, the thing that you want to be careful for here again is the possible fake out where the sessions are at. So look at this here and identify this as a red flag area, right? So one of two things are going to happen. Price is either going to keep climbing up from where it's currently at, or price is going to fake out and pull back below. Looks like price is it's really trying to push up though. So you can see the pivots over here are starting to shift. So that's one confluence. The pivots here are shifting back to the upside. So that's going to be a bullish trend. The trend meter here hasn't shifted yet, but it's going to if it continues to climb up higher. And then also the divergence right here is also bullish. The thing that you want to also keep in mind is that we have news right here at 7 o'clock. It's high impact. So I'll keep an eye out for that. I will keep an eye out for that, and we'll kind of see where it ends up going. So breaking news right here, as you guys can see, it says traders await Fed minutes as U.S. equity futures post narrow gains pre-bell. So again, right here, same thing. It's just news talking about people waiting for the FOMC meeting minutes to come out. Come back to this later. All right, so again, price is currently at the sessions. You can see how price is having trouble getting past it. These candles are wicking directly off the Asia high. It's the Asia high and it's the opening price. All right. Guess we will continue to wait here. There's not really too much going on. Here's our clean chart. Like I said earlier, price is now within the range. So two things to look out for. Look for price to pull back below or look for price to pull above. But when it does pull above or below, look out for the fake outs and look out for the continuation. So possible fake out back in for M pattern or look for it to push up higher and continue climbing from there. But again, this is in the range. Same thing as yesterday. Yesterday was just a little bit cleaner, right? Yesterday I drew up the range and price was respecting the range perfectly throughout the entire session. Again, today I marked up the range here, like basically when market opened. I don't think it's as clean, but you guys can see it's still pretty clean. Fake out, and then pull back into the range. So there you go. Price pushes right back up. It's at the upper level of the range right now. That was the news candle. So let me mark up news real quick. It's perfect. The news lined up exactly with the other news event. So there goes the news candle right there. Let me check my news real quick. Check. Let's check. Right, morning risk report. Check forex factory. So there was not any actual numbers, like there was no forecasting for it, but the news did happen right there. Check Koifin again. I don't really have time to read all this, but morning risk report. I was just trying to see what was released about the revisions, but there's just no update yet. So, I mean, it's all good. We'll see how price reacts to it. Here we go. And you see the reaction immediately. Price pushed up immediately, and then it pulled right back down. Let's go back to our clean chart. Again, you can see over here, price respected the range perfectly. Okay, so this looks like an area of liquidity now. So just keep that in mind, guys. This looks like a pretty clean area of liquidity. So if price ends up climbing back up, I could expect price to push up and break through this area here. So the next time price pushes up to this upper range, I'm expecting price to like break right through it. So if it ever gets this high, just keep an eye out for this area here. The reason why I see it as a big level of liquidity is because of the huge wick right here. Right, I could already see if someone was chasing this right here, I would see them going the other direction, like immediately. This used to be like one of my trading strategies when I used to trade news, when I was a degenerate trading news, like when I first started trading, whenever you see a huge wick like that on one side, and it's typically a reversal. So like price pushed up right here based off the news. And if I saw that big wick right there, I would have taken the sell and then rolled it back to fill the candle. Doesn't always work, but it's a way that I used to trade like way back when I didn't really know what I was doing. It's just a pattern that I used to always see. All right, so we got price below the range right here. What I would look for is a possible reversal pattern. So look for a double body V1 variation, possibly a CV pattern. Look for that correction back up. And this whole area right here, I'd expect it to be an area of liquidity. Just a thought. I'm not going to say it's exactly going to be an area of liquidity, but if price does reach this point, then it's probably going to break through, push it higher. We have a V1 variation pattern setting up right here at the bottom. Never mind, take that back. There was a V1 variation pattern, then it switched back to red. It was green earlier, and then now it switched back to red. So we just have a bit of a choppy market. This is the same thing that we witnessed yesterday. There's just not really much here to work with, unfortunately. Again, if we get a market flow entry right here, it's probably not going to be in our favor because we're going to have to cut through the sessions down here. We do have a lot of liquidity sitting right here, though, guys. So just a reminder, if price comes down any lower, yeah, this is actually a strong level of liquidity down here, too. So we got liquidity sitting right here. This lower level is actually a stronger level. This one's not as strong, but the one below it is pretty strong. This one's a new level of liquidity. You can see it lined up from right here. We drew that when price came down. So if price touches this next level of liquidity, not that one, but the one below it, if it touches this one below it, then it's probably going to push through. Which is fine because then we have all this liquidity right here, right? We have a bunch of liquidity sitting down here. So if that's the case, I mean, that's fine if it wants to sit down here. I'll look for some possible sells. But again, we need that confirmation. So like I said earlier with the range, you want to make sure that price is actually dropping because, you know, you could have chased the sell right here and you would have just gotten wiped out, right? If you chase the sell right there, price would have swung back up, stopped you right out. All right, let's see if that next level of liquidity there gets hit. I don't care too much about this one right here. I care about the one below it. So let me just clean this up real quick. All right, so that level right there got hit. Let's see if it actually pushes through. Does it have that power? The volatility is just kind of low. So, I mean, if you're trying to take these liquidity pushes, you got to go for the 10 points. I don't think you go for the full 15, honestly. It's tricky. It's tricky to go for that full 15, but I think this here will hit. I'll come back to it. You guys can see the volatility here isn't very consistent. I mean, like I said, this is kind of like the worst type of market to be trading in because the volatility, like you see the target here, but there's no volatility behind it to really push price through. Like you see right here, we have a bunch of big candles here based off the news, and then it just starts to get flatter and flatter and flatter and flatter. So there we go. Like I said earlier, I think this is a good level of liquidity. I'm not taking liquidity trades though, so not what I personally take. But if you are looking for liquidity, so what I would have looked for here is I would have looked for a market flow entry. So I would have waited for this to come down, retest, and then come back down further because I think this level of liquidity is still valid. So I'll be looking for a market flow entry right here, if possible. I'll be waiting for it. It's not going to happen on this candle. It's probably not going to happen on the next one, or maybe on this next one. I'll leave that level of liquidity right there because I do think it's a pretty decent level of liquidity. I'm just hoping it retraces back first before it comes back down further. Because if it comes down further, it's going to break through the liquidity, but I want this to actually come up so I can have an entry here for market flow. So it's tested it 3 times now. See the 3 tests right there. This candle has about 24 seconds left on it. See, watching for it. It's still sitting around this area. So the thing that I don't like here is the sideways move. So I'm looking at this as consolidation now. No market flow yet. Again, I need this to push up a bit higher. Yeah, there goes the liquidity. So if you guys take the liquidity that I marked up earlier, or that I told you guys about, it's about to hit full TP, or it already did actually. You went for the 10 points, it already hit its full TP right there. So like I said earlier, this is a good level of liquidity. It's just up to you if you want to take it. I'm not taking liquidity trades right now, so it just wouldn't fit my trading plan. But you can see right here, the liquidity did play out perfect. And you guys can see the big wick right here. This is the entry that I was actually looking for, but it never came up to touch the pivot. So the setup was there, or the setup wasn't there, but the idea, the concept was there. So like I was looking for price to push up, bounce off the pivot, come down, ride the liquidity down to the next level. But we just never had that opportunity right here. So I mean, it's all good. I'm just glad that the analysis is playing through. See, the reason why I knew this was a good liquidity was because I looked back and I was like, okay, where did this liquidity generate from? Or where did it originate from, right? It originated from here. I saw the nice wicks right here. The candle right there where it actually created the liquidity was huge, right? So I knew that was going to be a good area of liquidity. This right here, not so much, but I mean, it's still going to be valid and usable. So we got the next level of liquidity right here coming up. I think it's a decent level. I think price is overextended at this point. Right here, we might get the reversal. So we got the double body rejection off this lower low. This could be a reversal right back into the range. Something to keep in mind. So I'm always adapting and analyzing the market, guys. Whatever I see here, if I see any specific patterns, I'm like, okay, this could be a possible reversal. That way you guys can possibly think twice about taking any more sells here. So yeah, I'm probably not going to take any more sells here. If I see price come up and bounce off the pivot here, I'm not going to take it for a market flow, at least not now. Because this right here is a reversal pattern. I don't want to get caught in the reversal, of course. Yeah, so I'm going to hold off on some sells right now, guys. If you guys want to take some sells, feel free, but we do have this double body rejection right here. This is a clear reversal pattern. Unless it drops down lower from where it's currently at. So if it drops down lower, it's going to invalidate this lower low. This candle will be the new lower low, and there's no longer a V1 variation pattern right here. So this is a V1 variation and a CV pattern. This doubles up as a reversal. So if you guys are looking to take some sells here, you might want to think twice. Just giving you guys a heads up. Looking at the level 2 data right now, it's pretty much mixed right now. There's actually a lot of buys. So this might be the reversal that we're just looking for. So I'm looking at the level 2. It's starting to flood up with some buys here. The thing with the level 2 data is I don't think it's as useful as I initially thought. I mean, it's good, but I don't think it's like that useful. Because the thing is, like, you're getting entries from like, it moves too fast. For YM, it's just kind of pointless. I guess if you were trading something slower, like if you're trading a single stock, it would make sense. But for YM, it's just, there's too many movement. The movement's too quick. And, by the time you identify the order flow, it doesn't necessarily, or I'll take that back. It does help because when I see the big orders, I can see, but the orders don't really come in like how it did prior. I think when the market's moving a little bit faster, it's a little easier to read, but for the most part, it's kind of tricky. So we have a possible market flow entry right here, guys. I'm not in this position. I'll just mark it up for you guys so that you guys can see. But there is a market flow right there that should just hit full TP. The reason why I didn't want to take this market flow entry here was because of the V1 variation pattern right here. Right? I was worried about the V1 variation pattern, but looking at this here now, there may be more opportunities here for a market flow. So if you guys took this market flow right here, nice work. If you guys didn't, again, it's completely fine. I didn't take it because my confluence over here indicated that there may be a possible reversal. And obviously I don't want to play I'm gonna play my odds. So my odds show me that it's probably that's for my top step, guys. I was like wondering where that noise came from. So the 100-point move for today didn't play through. Yesterday's played through, but not today's. So we're basically at break even for the 100-point move. Um, and I'll keep running it every day this week, basically. So I'll run it again tomorrow, and then I'll see where it goes from there. Okay, so liquidity right here got hit, as you guys can see, the lower levels. I'm not in any positions here, guys. So I haven't taken any official trades for the day. I've just been waiting for my opportunity here to come up. Hasn't came up yet. I'm glad that we're having some direction here. So as I said earlier, if price comes below this lower low, it's going to invalidate this lower low, which it did. And now we no longer have a reversal pattern down here. So I'll keep looking for some market flow entries down here. Liquidity right there just got hit. This liquidity also got hit. Let's go to our clean chart. Now that price is broken out of this range, when we have price swing back up, I will identify the lower range here. So let's see. Nice. We're gonna take the pivot scalp here. Which pivot scalp did you take, Maria? Because I don't see one here. The only momentum signal was up here. I just don't know. I don't see one here. All right, I'll leave this alone for now. 713. Oh, this is a high-low scalp, Maria. Yeah, you take the high-low scalp, right? A pivot scalp is off the momentum. So you'd have to have a momentum signal. Yeah, I think you take a high-low scalp. Thanks, Kevin, for clarifying. Like if you take this entry right here, this is a high-low scalp. Because it broken close below this lower low. Yeah. So I mean that's the only looking at the strategies for today, that's the only strategy that I saw come up. This wouldn't be an actual V1 variation, it's just a pattern. In order for it to be a V1 variation, it would have to be from the upside because the trend here is bearish. So if this wasn't an actual V1 variation, it's just a pattern and a confluence for a possible reversal. Same with this one right here. So this right here again is a double body rejection. It's not a V1 variation entry, but it's a pattern. So the pattern shows that there's a possible reversal that may happen down here. Sam is asking why YM is Dow Jones, right? Yeah, that's correct. It says right here on the screen. So YM E-mini Dow Jones futures. See, Maria said price rejection, pivots, momentum, trend, red. Yeah, that is correct, Maria. You did have all of the confluences there. That was a high-low scalp, though. So a pivot scalp is off a momentum signal. Like this right here would be a pivot scalp for a buy, right? This here wouldn't be a pivot scalp because there's no trend yet. But the entry right here that you are talking about, this would be a high-low scalp. That's the only thing I can think of. I can't think of anything else that would have came up here because there's no momentum. All right, there's a possible market flow right here, guys. Let me see if I can maybe put a pending order here. Let me see how much time we have. We have 25 seconds left on this. I'm going to hold off on this because I think price is going to swing back up. The reason why I wouldn't take this as a market flow is because, again, we have the V1 variation pattern right here. It's a reversal pattern for price to swing back up. So either way, I don't think this is going to fill. It's too high. It's probably not going to swing back down within the next 5 seconds. All right, so there's no entry there, of course. So we may have possible opportunity here for continuation. There's two things that I'm going to look for here. I'm either going to look for the push to the upside. So what I would be looking for is a possible buy signal with a green candle to follow it. If you have a buy signal and a green candle to follow it, that's going to be a breakout V3 continuation. It's a continuation pattern to the upside. That's going to be one scenario. The other scenario is I'm going to look for price to provide this buy signal, confirm the retracement, and look for it to climb back down. If it climbs back down like this, then I'll be looking for a possible market flow back to these sessions over here. The target down here has not gotten hit yet. So you can see this candle tried to come down and touch it, but not quite. Came close, but not quite. This down here is going to be the target price point. So again, look for two different things. Look for a buy signal to close, look for a green candle to follow it. That's going to be a breakout V3 continuation. So again, right here, we have the buy signal. If this candle closes green, then this is going to be a possible breakout V3 continuation to the upside. All right. So we had the breakout. The breakout V3 actually happened right here, guys. I don't know if anybody realized that it came up right here. Well, there was two of them actually. So there was a breakout V3 that came up right here, or actually, no, sorry. Didn't come up right there, but it came up right here at 7:03. See where we go. Yeah, you missed step two, Maria. Step two is a momentum signal. You took an entry down here, but there was no momentum signal. This was a high-low scalp. There's no pivot scalp there. So first, you confirm the overall bias. Yeah, that's right. There's bearish. Step two, you pretty much just skip step two. Step two, say confirm a valid K2 momentum signal. There's no signal down here. Signal came up here, but your entry came like 20 minutes later. So yeah, I think you're yeah, but the entry has to happen on the candle, Grant. All this stuff has to happen on that candle of your entry. So that's not the strategy. If you want to go and review the video, you can, but there is no pivot scalp there. Like all of this like, okay, if you read the steps, your steps don't line up with the 713 candle right here. Just go review the video, Maria. I don't think you understand the strategy. Everything has to happen on that specific time. Like that's the whole strategy for the pivot scalp is based off the momentum, right? You can't say, oh, the momentum happened 20 minutes ago. Okay, I'm gonna take the entry down here. You would have had to take the entry over here. It's just not the strategy, Maria. So what I recommend is just go back and review the video because it's definitely not the strategy. And I think everybody here can agree with that. If anybody does know the pivot scalp strategy, the strategy is based off the momentum. That's a catalyst for the strategy. All right, so I'm still looking over here, guys. The green candle never came up right here, so there's no breakout V3 continuation. So what you want to look out for here is the possible continuation to the downside. So look for the possible bounce off the pivot and look for it to come back down and continue climbing from there. Let's see, iPhone said caught that buy on the 1019 candle due to divergence off the green pivot. I know it's against the trend, but divergence has been strong with this strat for me. Yeah, no, that's key. So, with the divergence, all of these tools here can be used standalone. So like you said, John, I think this is you, John, right? So like you said, if the divergence is strong, you can just go based off divergence. You don't have to use all the other confluences. So like you said down here at the 719, the divergence happened or this was swinging up and it had a strong divergence. So you took that there for a buy. The more confluences you add, of course, it's going to increase your probability, but you don't have to, like, you can create your own strategy just like you did here, right? Like you said, it's based off your own opinion. So like, for example, if you just want to trade with no trend, you want to turn off the pivots, like you can do that. That's completely fine. You can turn off the pivots, you can turn off the trend meter, and you just use momentum and divergence. So you got a buy signal, you got divergence right there. And then you also have bias because of the retail sentiment. It works out in your favor. I actually used to take trades like this before, right? So back then, if you guys remembered, I think it was like 2 summers ago, I wouldn't even factor in the trend. I would just look for the swing, like I would look for the correction. Like for example, here, if the retail sentiment is super strong on the sell side, I would only look for entries in the opposite direction, right? I would only look for buys. So even though price was way down here, I would expect this to be and I would use this as a confluence. So using this confluence right here, John, you had the V1 variation pattern, which is the reversal pattern, and then you have momentum here and you have divergence. There goes your own strategy right there. You can just put all those three together and basically catch the reversal. So yeah, if you want to trade it that way, that's one way to look at it. So you can look at it look at the reversal pattern, that's your first confluence. Look at the momentum or divergence as your second confluence, and then your catalyst will be either a buy signal or it'll be a crossover for the divergence. So it's basically like you're like having a lagging entry. You have like your entry could have happened down here, but you kind of lagged it a little bit, right? So you waited for the reversal, you look for the next confluence, which is okay divergence, and then you had the buy signal here. That's basically like three confluences in one. And then you could have taken that right there for a buy, of course. And if you wanted to write it for the ATR, you could have done 2020 or 2525. And that's where you would have taken it. So nice work, John. Yeah, John said, true, didn't even think about it that way. Thanks. Still using your pivot though, has to do with what you're saying. Just bounce off and pivot. Yeah, exactly. 100%. Like you could have waited for that right there, John. And if you didn't want to enter right away, you could have just entered, you could have put a buy stop right here. So when price swung back up, it'd be basically like a market flow entry, right? Or if you wanted to just catch the balance, you could have waited for this buy signal, look for it to retrace down, and then you could have entered from down here at the pivot. There's a lot of different ways to apply these strategies, guys. Like I've told you guys in the past, I give you guys a framework and the foundation of like how to apply these strategies. But if you see something and you're like, this works, go ahead and test it out. Because I created these tools as standalone. These tools they're not required to be used together. Like you can just use the pivots by itself, you can use the momentum by itself, you can use the trend meter by itself, you can use the divergence by itself. For me, I just put them together because that's how I use them. But you guys can use them however you like. These tools are pretty powerful if you know how to use them properly. Yeah, no problem, John. I mean, it's solid. I'm glad to see that you locked in some profit today. I was hoping to lock in at least one trade, but I just don't see anything here. Again, I'm sticking to my game plan. So if I don't have any entries today, I'm not going to force anything. And I think that's the hardest part for a lot of people. It's like not getting FOMO or like revenge trading or over trading because you see somebody else trading. So for me, I haven't seen any market flow entries here, so I don't have any entries for me to take. And I'm just sticking to my game plan. Just look for a solid market flow entry, and then once I get it, then take it. But at this very moment, just don't have it right now. Yeah, one thing that I've been looking at lately too is a high-low scalp V2. So I was trying to see if there's anything that came up here. This candle broke below 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This could have been a high-low scalp V2 right here as well. A lot of the older strategies that they still work perfectly fine, guys. So I know this was a favorite for a lot of people back then. I just looked at this here, like there was a lower low. This candle broke and closed below it. Had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles. This retraced back up, and then you could have caught the swing back down. So during these sideways conditions, I'm trying to think back to the strategies that I created when the market was going sideways like this. One of them was the high-low scalp V2. So you can see the high-low scalp right here came up. This is the one that Maria took earlier. She took it as a pivot scalp, but it was really just a high-low scalp right here. Price broke and closed below it, came through. So that was a good entry for a high-low scalp. And also looking at the high-low scalp V2, I'm just looking at different patterns here because, when we have a lot of free time like this and I don't have any entries for myself, you're able to kind of just free flow, right? Just kind of free flow into different ideas. But we have a lot of strategies, so it kind of depends on like what you guys are looking for. For me personally, I don't like trading in a sideways market. You guys know that already. So for me personally, I like to trade directional entries. There just hasn't been any directional entries here. Let's go back to our clean chart. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to update the range. So the range is between the 900 and the 50. So this is the wide range right here. This is the wide range. Then we also have structure right here too. You guys see that? So, this again, this is the reason why I created the tool here. So I created a tool for the levels. So see, I have my levels over here. That's pretty much where I drew the range. So I drew the range right there, and then I drew structure using the high-low indicator. So I just draw structure at the higher highs and lower lows, of course. You guys see how I drew up structure right there? Super simple. So now you have market structure right here. As you guys can see, this is kind of like where the range is happening right now. So there's structure right here. Looks like there's a lot of like push outside of the range, but if price ever pulls back into this area, it looks like this is kind of the consolidation zone. And again, I created all these tools for a specific reason. If you guys want to use them, however you want to use them, feel free. But I use the high-low indicator to identify structure. I use the levels indicator to identify range. I use a levels indicator also to identify, critical price points. There's just a ton of ways to use my tools. There's no one way. You can see the charts here look completely different, right? So this chart over here is basically it's a flow chart. So you can see how market is flowing up and down. The clean chart over here is more of a structure chart. You can see the structural changes in market structure. And, you can use them however you like. You can see these two charts look completely different. I like to trade off the flow chart because I trade market flow. But if you want to trade off structure, you can also trade off structure like this here. Basically, you can look for the break and retest. Look for your buy entry, stop loss right there, TP up there. There's a ton of ways to use my tools, guys. It just depends on what you want to use it for. So looking at this here, price is now kind of just sitting and consolidating around this area. If price does climb a bit higher, we may have some possibility for market flow to the upside. Otherwise, this might just come right back down. See how price is coming back down right here. I look for the possible break and retest off this and have it climb down lower from there. So I don't see any V1 variation patterns up here or any reversal patterns at that. But again, the divergence here is bearish. You have a sell signal here that's pending. Might get some opportunity here for a sell. All right, so price is currently sitting at the sessions right now. Today's market's actually worse than yesterday's. I thought yesterday was going to be worse because it's Trap Tuesday. Today seems worse because yesterday we had an actual range that we could follow. And for today, we're just having, you can see how price is moving right here. This looks like the consolidation area. This was already established earlier, but now it's confirmed that this is a consolidation area. Just back and forth, back and forth. All right, so obviously you can see here, it's pretty clear consolidation. It's sitting at the sessions right here, the area of manipulation. This is the Asia low. So I'm okay with taking some buys here once we have a confirmation of a bullish trend. But right now we just don't have that. Everything here is still pointing towards the downside. Trend meter's red, pivots are down the middle. Divergence here is aiming to the downside. Again, we're looking for this here to kind of swing up, retrace, continue up higher from there. $7:34 right now. We still got some time. Let's take a look at the calendar real quick. So there's nothing really going on here from now until 8 o'clock. Let's check the news calendar over here for Koifin. All right, let's see any top news. So yeah, nothing really. No news here. Not really much of a catalyst to push price anywhere. It's just a flat market. So the market isn't as flat as I thought it would be. So I thought it was going to be way more flatter because of the FOMC minutes later today. But I mean, it looks like the market has been moving, obviously. Yeah, I mean, obviously the market here has been moving pretty decently. Let's see the range for today. So let's see, I'll check the price range. So market opened right here at 630. Price came up less than 50 points, and then price came down about 140 points. So the range isn't necessarily that bad. It's just not very directional. At least yesterday, market was going back and forth. But today, yeah, this thing's kind of just not doing too much. So we got price pushing up right here. It's now at the Asia high. That's kind of crazy that the Asia high was this short for the day. Like it didn't really move very much. The Asia lows right here and the Asia highs right here. So during Asia session, price moved about 50 points. So it was extremely low during Asia session. All right, we got price finally pushing up right here. You guys remember where I said price was going to push up to? So it hit the liquidity that I talked about earlier. I said whenever price pushes up to this area, it's probably going to blast right through it. And that's exactly what happened here. So if you guys remember, price was down here, and I said, look out for this area because if price pushes back up to this area, this is a heavy area of liquidity, and it's probably going to blast right through it. So yeah, now that I've cleaned up the chart, you guys can see the range here. It's the same range that we were stuck in earlier. Look for the possible break and retest of this area. So if we get price up there, then we may have some opportunity here for a for a possible buy. It's just this whole area up here is full of red flags. You guys see all the lines here? There's I mean, it's like literally, well, it's only this area right here. So let me see if I can maybe squeeze in an entry between this area. I don't think I can, but yeah, no, it's gonna be too tough. So you guys see, if I get a market flow entry somewhere around here, it's gonna be tough because we got the session. It's what we call a session sandwich. So we got sessions right here, we have a session right here, we have a session right here. There's just no way for us to take an entry within this area without getting caught in possible manipulation. So if I need to take an entry, or if I want to take an entry, it's got to be above this area up here. Because I can't trade within this area where liquidity is just kind of sitting and hanging out. There's a bunch of, okay, never mind. So I was looking at the market flow. There's like one big buy order that was just hanging out there. And it pretty much got taken off. Sorry, not the market flow. I'm looking at the level 2 data. So looking over here at level 2 right now, just kind of looking to see where all the orders are sitting. They're kind of mixed right now. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to keep using the level two data. It's just not very helpful. Maybe like in a busier market, it'll be more helpful, but as of now, it's not really too helpful for me. Even though we're in a slow market, it's not really being too beneficial. I can see when it can be beneficial. Like back then when the market was super volatile, it was super beneficial because you can see where the reversals were going to happen. But in a slow market like this, it's not too useful because you'll see a bunch of orders on one side, and then you're like, oh, the sells are coming. And then 2 seconds later, it gets flooded with a bunch of buy orders, which I mean, it kind of makes sense because price here isn't really moving directional very much. So it makes sense why the big orders come in and then the other orders just kind of flush them out. So maybe I'll hang on to it for like another month. So I'll hang on to it until like maybe September, October, and then from there I'll see if I want to keep looking at it. It's just a lot of stuff for me to look at because I'm looking at level two, I'm looking at the news, I'm looking at my charts, I'm looking at my Ninja, I'm looking at my trading view. There's just a lot of moving pieces here. All right, let's see. Yeah, I was really hoping the volatility would pick up here so we can find an entry, but there's just nothing here that's setting up. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, I'll keep looking for some entries here. I'm still looking for my entry, guys. I haven't taken anything today yet. So I'm still looking for that one entry that I can possibly squeeze in. It's just the volatility here isn't very consistent. Like I said earlier, I'm looking for this to break out of this area of liquidity. If it breaks out of this area and retest, I think it'll be a perfect opportunity for us to look for some sort of way in. Yeah, unfortunately, so my 100-point move from earlier this morning got stopped out down here, but you can see that price is pushing up higher. I pretty much knew price was going to push up because of the fundamentals this morning that I identified from last night. It's just, the market here was just not moving directional. It came down to fake out basically, and then now it's correcting all the way back up. So unfortunately, yeah, the 100-point move over here, you can see how it got spiked out. It's this big wick, and then it corrected all the way back up. So it's all part of the game. This strategy is, I think it's a good strategy. I'll keep testing it over the next couple of weeks. Um, but yeah, you're gonna get some days like this. Okay, so price finally broke out of that zone that I showed you about, where I said liquidity was sitting. Now looking at this here, what I'd be looking for next is a possible retest of it and continuation higher. So we got liquidity right here that's sitting, it's just got hit. First level of liquidity right there at this higher high. Pushing through. If you went for the 10 points, I think it already hit TP. Yeah, 10 points right there already got hit. That's solid. All right, let's see if it continues to climb up from here. 7:43, you got about 17 minutes till 8 o'clock. So let's see if the volatility stays high, or not high, but it stayed high enough, or if it's going to slow down. Typically around 8 o'clock, it starts to slow down a bit. The ATR is a lot slower than what we're used to. So ATR right now is currently at 20. We're used to it being above like 30, 40, 50, 60, sometimes 80. Like 2 weeks ago, it was at 80. Now it's really, really low. If you guys are not familiar with ATR, ATR identifies the average true range. So I think I have it set to 14 candles back. It basically shows you where the volatility is sitting, where price is currently at. So the higher the number, the higher the volatility. Um, Generally, if it's below 15, it's really slow or it's really flat. When it's around 20, it's flat, but it's moving directional, like it'll consolidate and push up. When it's 30, it's usually climbing. And that's like typically where we want price to be. but we don't really have we don't really have any control over this market. We kind of just have to wait for the opportunities to come to us. So we'll see. There goes that level of liquidity right there. It's still pushing through. I'll clean this up right now. Again, I just need price to be away from the sessions. This place where price is currently at right now, it's not a good area. If you get a red candle right there, this will be a possible V1 variation pattern. So now that we have this V1 variation pattern, look for two things. Look for price to invalidate the reversal or look for price to actually reverse. Right, we got two things here. Two things that can happen. Either price is going to invalidate this or it's going to come down lower. All right, the volatility here again is just slow. So price is now just going sideways right here and consolidating. Let me go over and clean this up a little bit. The retest never happened. So one of two things will happen here. You guys can see what happens typically when price gets above this point, fake out, possible fake out. So yeah, look out for the possible fake out or look for the continuation. One of the two. But you can see this area right here, there's nothing going on. It's just going sideways. All right, so the market's getting flat. This is just what I warned you guys about earlier. You know, as we get closer to 8 o'clock, market gets flat. This is why I typically stop trading around this time. There's just no volatility and there's no opportunity for us to take anything here. We'll see if this picks back up. I'm still going to keep looking for my possible entry here. What I need to happen here is I need price to actually bounce off this and come right back up higher. So I need price to bounce off it and climb up higher. If we get something like that, we can possibly still find a market flow entry for a buy, but the market volatility here is just pretty much flat, as you can see. Like I said earlier, look out for two things here. Look out for the continuation or look out for the reversal back to the downside. Looks like price is reversing back down. We had the V1 variation happen right here. So as you guys can see, there was a double body rejection. So like I said earlier in the session, and I've been repeating myself throughout the session, if you want to trade the tops and the bottoms, you can, because you just need to look for the V1 variation patterns, right? V1 variation pattern right there, reversal to the downside. V1 variation pattern right here, reversal back into the range. CV pattern right here, push to the upside. And again down here, push right back up. So you can trade this market. It's just you have to look for these V1 variation and CV patterns. And yeah, it's not looking like we're gonna get a buy here. Definitely not. All right, so I'll keep looking, guys. But again, I'm typically done trading around this time because of the obviousness of the market conditions. I was hoping I'd get at least one trade today, but just didn't come up. There were some sells down here, but I just didn't take them because of the red flags. Let's see. Yeah, no trades for the day, guys. So looking at our stats for the week so far, let's see, we had about, I think, three back-to-back wins yesterday. So yesterday was actually a really good day. We had one, two, three back-to-back wins. We had two losses on Monday. So we had two losses on Monday. We had three back-to-back wins on Tuesday. So we're currently up one net win for the week so far. So it hasn't been a horrible week. I mean, the trades obviously they're not coming up as often as we like, but we're still net positive for the week. So I'm glad I didn't take any entries today that could have messed up that our stats for this week. So we're still at one net win. We're coming off a pretty decently trading, a pretty decent trading day yesterday. Three back-to-back wins is solid. We really needed that after having the two losses on Monday. So I guess we'll see. All right, 750 right now. Let's see if we have any opportunities here that may come up. Again, price is dropping back into the range. It's not really doing too much. I mean, it's literally doing what we expected. So like I said yesterday, this is exactly the same market as yesterday. Price pulls out of the range, fakes out, pulls below the range, fakes out back up, pulls out of the range, and then it comes right back down. I don't understand what's causing this big drop though. This is a huge drop. So the past, let's see, three candles right here, that was about like almost 200 points. Let's check over here real quick. I want to see if there's any news that may have came up. I think this is all market manipulation personally. I think this is market manipulation because the meeting minutes later today, we have FOMC meeting minutes at 11 later today. The minutes are going to be good. I'm expecting the meeting minutes to be good. So I think this is all manipulation. I think prices are just getting dropped. And then at 11, it's just going to spike right back up, obviously. That's just kind of what I see happening there. Here he goes. Price is back down below at the lower range. All right. So that's that. All right, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm not really seeing much happening here. The last thing I want you guys to do is to revenge trade or FOMO into something here. I feel like FOMO is gonna start kicking in now that you guys see the volatility picking up. This is kind of where like the FOMO starts to kick in. You guys are starting to fear missing out on any trades here, which I don't think there's any trades here for me personally. You can see there's just no direction here. Looking at our clean chart, I mean, yeah, you can get lucky chasing a trade, but for the most part, not really expecting much here to happen. So yeah, if you guys have any more questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna wrap this up for the day. I didn't take any trades on my official account, so pretty much flat for the day. If you guys have profit to post up, feel free. I know some of you guys took some liquidity trades earlier today. All liquidity got hit. So if you guys took any of the liquidity, I mean, those got hit. Those are pretty solid. But other than that, I'm just not really seeing much here happening, as of now. So I think I'm gonna wrap it up. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. You guys can hit me up on Discord. Otherwise, if you guys do decide to trade, just be careful for a lot of these areas right here. Liquidity right there just got hit. Be careful for the sessions. That's really where you want to be careful for. Take trades away from the session. So if you look for price or if you see some sort of momentum entry or anything like that, just keep away from. Let me clean up the liquidity right here. Liquidity here just got hit again. Two levels of liquidity. Be careful for the sessions, the green line, purple line, and the red line, of course. And that's all I can say. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. No trades for me today. Pretty much flat day. And we'll come back tomorrow fresh for the next So tomorrow, let me check the calendar real quick. There is more news tomorrow, so just keep that in mind. Today, the market was kind of flat and going back and forth. Tomorrow, we have some high impact news pre-market. So we have, let's see, initial jobless claims. We have continuing jobless claims. We have S&P Global Manufacturing PMI. This is inflation news, global services PMI, composite PMI, existing home sales month over month, and existing home sales for July. So we have a lot of news tomorrow pre-market. That's going to affect the market heavily. And then on top of that, we have the FOMC minutes today where people are going to react to it tomorrow. So minutes are going to come out this afternoon or later today at 11. And then tomorrow, people are going to react to that news. So we're closing out the week with some heavy news. A lot of news on Thursday, a lot of news here on Friday, and hopefully that'll give us enough volatility for us to catch some moves before we enter the weekend. So, all right, guys, that's it for me today. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I'll see you guys back here tomorrow for the next live.